Cool. All right, is this font size cool and the thickness all right?
I can't see, but I think that's just because I'm blind. Okay.
But you should be able to see because the rain has gone. I guess you don't know that song. Okay. All right, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Is there anyone that you particularly would like to go over, Tiff?
5.
All right, so let's go over 5. Which other one? 3, 4, 1,
Just all.
and we might as well do 2. Okay, so we'll just do all of them. Fair enough.
Blessing to myself. Excuse me.
And thank you guys for writing the Latin out also. That was awesome.
Did everyone not write the Latin ones?
It's happened. That's why I feel like I need to specify. But like, think about it though. If you just write the English, then you have a bunch of English sentences in your notes and you have no context for like what that is.
How are you going to mark up sentences that aren't on your paper?
I've had kids give me the markup of the English and I'm like, that's not what that's what? Like, we've never done that. Okay, anyway.
Some people joke to not write down stuff.
I know.
Relate.
I mean, unless they're druids, which they're not, I would be okay with it.
Unless they're what? Like the magic.
So yeah, kind of. So in Caesar's De Bello Gallico, it's pretty cool. The only reason we have any knowledge about the Celts in that area, like Britannia and Gaul and all of that, is because Caesar wrote it down, right? But you have to think about it though. Is Caesar an insider? Is he one of them? Or is he an outsider? So he's an outsider looking in at something else. So there are a lot of like cultural nuances that he's obviously going to miss when he writes about it, but we have no primary sources, or very few, if any, from the people themselves. And what Caesar does say is that in their society, the head of like the guys that control everything are the druids, right? And you've probably heard of the druids before when you like read King Arthur and all that like Camelot stuff. But they're essentially priests who have they preside over law. But one thing he specifically says about them is that they don't write anything down for 2 reasons. Reason number 1, they don't want to disseminate information. So that tells you that information is currency, right? Knowing stuff, that holds the power. Second reason they don't write stuff down is because it weakens the mind. And he's right. So they memorize like lengths and lengths of stuff. And they just know it. So it tells you something about, and it's like, he says it turns the mind to like softening. That's like the phrasing that he uses. Writing stuff down softens the mind. At least that's what he says. But think of it, he's kind of right. Like if you know that you have, like let's say I see a license plate and I know that I can write it down quickly, am I going to be more inclined to remember it or try to remember it? No, I'm going to be like, oh, I'll write it down so I can look at it later.
What happens if it gets deleted?
Right. So you kind of like, if you have the mindset that you need to remember something, you're going to work harder at trying to remember it rather than saying, oh, I'll just write this down and look at it later, which you may or may not.
If you're trying to memorize like a text and you want to know the words, you just write it down over and over again because you have a better chance of memorizing it. So
Yeah, but that's a little different though. That's actual study method and like learning vocab. So I would recommend that too, like writing it down a lot. But because they were trained that way, or at least the druids were, they were able to just absorb information very, very quickly in a short amount of time. Yeah.
I feel like I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
I actually felt it. It was better to like focus in class than to focus to the teacher than to write down your notes or harder math classes, because like you don't understand. Sometimes you don't understand what you wrote, and then like you just kind of lose the context. But if you actually just pay attention to the teacher, I feel like you'll understand the content a lot better.
Yeah, and I mean, even think about kind of like the way that a class flows, right? As the teacher's talking, you're so focused on making sure that you've got everything written down, and you're missing what they're saying. And what they're saying is actually very important. Maybe not me, but other teachers.
It's like Mr. Bummer like telling us to like not write it down by going to the next slide.
Yeah, I mean, and it's interesting, like, whenever, that's why I stopped doing PowerPoints, because kids would say, like, oh, I didn't get everything on the slide, and it's like, that's fine. That's how you take notes. You just write down what's important. You don't have to write everything word for word. You know, but I think kids have this anxiety now about, like, having everything at their disposal, when you don't actually have to know everything. You just have to know most of it, but know it well. You know, there's a difference there.
I never had any notes for math.
Oh, so you're one of the lucky few, huh?
I never write anything down, because I feel it just like distracts.
Yeah, I hear you on that. Yeah, so that's what Caesar says about writing stuff down. It's an interesting passage. Maybe we'll read it one day. It's part of the AP curriculum too, I think. Okay, so in this sentence, remember, what color are verbs? Blue. All right, where are they? Yep. Good. Okay, now, duxerat and demonstrabat, singular or plural? Singular, so who's my subject? Yep. Now be careful, because even though this looks like a nominative plural, it's not. It's just a nominative singular, because it's a Greek name.
I thought you were going to say it's not nominative.
No, it is nominative. Oh, you can't even like see that. I don't like
I
that.
feel like Euclides should change the name.
What?
So it just looks nominative.
What?
Singular.
But conform and lose his Greek identity?
Yeah,
The Greeks are too proud for that.
I don't care.
I do.
Because I like a lot easier.
What? No. That's the same thing as like Italians coming over and immigrating, and their last name is like their profession.
Really? Like what?
Or like think of the movie The Godfather. I don't know why you guys would see that, but
I've heard of that. I fell asleep in every single movie.
yeah, I feel that. But when he comes over, he comes from a place called Corleone in Sicily, I think is how it goes. But when he comes over, they just give him his first name. Like, he gives the first name. It's Vito, I think. And they're like, where are you from, kid? And he's like, Corleone. And so he's like, all right, your name is Vito Corleone. Right, so that's how last names sometimes came to be in the U.S. Or like, say you were a tanner. Like, have you heard the last name Tanner before? What do you think a tanner did? Tanned the hides for the people. Or like a cobbler, like a shoemaker. I don't know. There are a whole bunch, but
I have a question.
yeah.
Wait, what is The Godfather about? Like, what genre is it?
Ooh. Do you count mafia movies as a genre?
Yeah,
It's essentially the story behind a mob boss at some point in history. I don't know I don't think it's accurate or historically real though. I think it's just a 3-part movie.
Is it a good movie?
I haven't seen most of them. Or most of it. I've only seen like bits and pieces.
There's a lot of famous.
There's a lot of violence though. A lot of violence, a lot of intense emotions, and it's just like really heightened. I don't know. I'm not a fan of that stuff.
Me neither.
So if you like mob movies, like watch it, but if you don't, eh.
I like it.
But apparently it's like very famous and popular and everyone talks about it and knows about it. But that's okay. Everyone talked and knew about Squid Games, and now where is it? Non-existent.
What is Squid Game?
I don't even know. I didn't watch that either.
It's like a weird, like, challenge.
Yeah, that's how it seemed.
Apparently it's made to, like protest against communism or something like that, but, like, I don't really get it.
Huh. Yeah, I don't really know either. Okay. So what's my direct object? Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, what am I going to do with ad orbem? Good.
Wait, is that orange or yellow?
Yellow. Pueros? That's yellow. Yeah, because accusatives are yellow. Okay, and omnia, what case is that? It's neuter, so it could be two things. XECMA. Sorry, XECXA, ibus, ibus.
So nominative or accusative?
Nominative or accusative, but what does it have to be because my verb is singular? It's gotta be accusative. Yep. Okay, and then eis is just dative. Dative is green, yep. Okay.
Wait, then, wait, what is that? Wait, what?
What's wrong?
Never mind. What does morning, like,
In the morning.
in the morning?
Yeah. Okay, so out of these two verbs, which one's my pluperfect verb? Duxerat, good. And demonstrabat is what tense? Wasn't, good, imperfect. Okay, so how are we gonna translate this? Tiff?
Earlier today, Euclides had one of the boys and was showing to them everything.
Mm-hmm. Good. Okay, so what happened first? Him showing them everything or him leading them to the city? Him leading them, right? So again, it's the plus perfect, the more perfect. So it had to happen before demonstrabat. Okay, any questions on that one? No?
Formatted that so weirdly.
You what?
I formatted
That's okay. Let's go. Let's
because
go.
I
back
was
to-
halfway through, but then I realized I forgot the prepositional phrase, so I just put cabin.
All right. Who can give me my markup here for number 2? All right, Caitlin, go for it.
Okay, I don't know if this is right, but I said Aurelia is nominative,
Okay,
and I said Lyta is also nominative,
correct.
because it's a predicate,
Mm-hmm.
and then Era is a verb.
Okay.
I said Servi is also nominative,
Okay.
is that right?
You tell me what you got and we'll break it up and see how we do.
Okay, I only said that because it's like two clauses, it's like what, okay.
Yeah, exactly. So let's mark that off. Okay, so you're right. It is technically 2 clauses.
And then Canaan Bonum I said is accusative,
Okay, good.
and Parawera is
Good. Whoops. I should be consistent with the blues.
wait, you say different blue than in the first one.
I know. I realize that now.
Wait, I have a question.
Yeah.
Is there is there like a declension? Wait, I'm
Is there a declension?
for yacht. Is it like?
Nope. Adverbs typically don't get declined, and conjunctions too. They're kind of just like those one-off weird words that exist, like mane. Well,
Conjunctions get declined?
no, they don't.
Oh.
They don't. That's what I'm saying. Like, the adverbs and conjunctions, they're just the word. Like, you don't need to know any other forms.
So like, if I were to mark up yacht, this would be an adverb.
Yep. Okay, so the markup is good. All right, what's my main clause and what's my subordinate clause? Jason, what do you think?
The main clause will be subordinate clause will be after apply.
Good. Yep. So we got a because clause. That's our subordinate. And we got our main clause over here. All right, translation. The markup is right. What's the translation? So Young, what do you got?
Aurelia was happy because the slaves already had prepared a good dinner.
Good. So what happened first? Aurelia being happy or the preparing of the dinner? Preparing of the dinner, right? So again, this is the extra perfect, the plus perfect, the pluperfect, right? It's just more perfect.
That sounds like more perfect than perfect.
Yeah, perfection. Wait, we're all pluperfect. Haha. Just kidding. No. All right, that was pretty dumb. I won't do that again, I promise.
I like it.
The hair flip. Okay. How confident are you guys at reading Latin, by the way? Like if you had to do it out loud.
Somewhat confident.
Pretty confident.
Yeah, I feel like reading it or like
Just read it, like if I were to give you a poem in Latin and asked you to read it out loud, not translate it, just read the Latin, how confident would you be?
Pretty confident. I may butcher some words, but like other than that.
it would be like slow. Are you gonna make us
No, I'm not going, well, not right now. I don't know, I was just considering, Miss Bingham asked me if I could have some kids recite Latin in front of the whole school in chapel.
Nobody's supposed to sing.
That's probably why.
That was their singing.
Don't worry, I said I protected you guys. I was like, I can't ask them this now. No. But
Thank you, Miss Slade. I cannot.
if I had told you like if I had known 2 weeks ago, like when we were actually still in class and then we had mini course week to like prepare, I would have said yes. But she asked me like Sunday.
I would do it. I would totally do it.
I wouldn't. I'd get stage fright.
When was this thing?
Tomorrow.
What?
We're not doing it.
So down. Oh, we're not doing it.
No, we're not doing it. I was curious because I know my other classes are very hesitant to read Latin. They kind of just like freeze up, like literally all the other ones. You guys are the only ones that are kind of fearless about it, which is interesting to me.
So now
Even better.
shouldn't be so fearless about it. Yeah.
Well, no, I think the reason is because they just, I don't know. I feel like I had you guys speak it more or like say the words more or there's something about you guys that's different.
Because like you're like always with the vocabulary. It was like.
Who that?
No.
It's because you've gone through like the pronunciation and everything.
Hoodie. It's hoodie.
Like every time we do that, you're not supposed to repeat it.
Yeah, that's probably why.
Yeah, and we've read it a few times.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. So I don't know. You guys, it's nice that you guys are more comfortable.
I
To
was
speak it.
tripped going onto the stage or something, and then it fell off the stage.
Ooh. All right, who's got the markup for me?
I have.
Lisa? Okay.
Yeah. Libro is accusative. I'm just joking. What?
Hang on.
Is it accusative? I thought it was accusative as well.
It's it's accusative.
No.
So Librum is accusative. But what's
I don't know about, but like I put it as a purple. So.
you put Librum as purple?
No.
Du is just an adverb. So hodie is just an adverb, du is just an adverb. So these and Harry actually.
Harry.
Harry Styles is just an adverb.
Wait, I have a question. What color is?
Wait, that's what we call him when he falls into oblivion and is not famous anymore because he was yesterday. Get it? Because Harry means yesterday. So when Harry Styles ceases to be popular, we can call him Harry Styles, meaning he was like yesterday. What?
What'd you say? He'll never cease to be popular.
I mean,
One Direction is literally still popular.
well, yeah, but like, time is a void to which we are all
I mean, like,
subject.
But everyone will, like,
Everyone ceases to be popular at some point.
I know.
You can't say never. Maybe not in our lifetime.
Popular for the last 20 years. Yeah.
Harry Styles has been popular for the last 20 years?
I mean, yeah, but like some people are popular longer, but eventually.
No, 20 years is a lot. I'd say maybe like the last 10.
Yeah. No, she's 33.
She says she's dying.
No.
Oh my goodness.
What? No, because she started writing her songs at like 16.
All right, sorry, Lisa. So continue your.
Yeah.
What's? Mm-hmm.
Not sure, but like.
Is it green?
Yeah, I put it as
You
big.
put it as dative, and that is correct.
And then, Dideros after that.
Good.
I like that.
Me too.
Me as well.
My color's really messed up. I put dative as yellow and accusative as orange. Orange.
Okay. Now this em ending. What case is that most like? X E E M A. It's accusative, and actually, as a matter of fact, this is indeed accusative.
I just marked that one.
Okay, it's a, well, okay, so what do we have here? We've got our clause here, and then we've got another clause. All right, this is relating information back to the main. Okay, that's why we call it a relative clause. Okay, remember, relative clauses are clauses that start with which or who, and usually the which or who is a Q word or a C word.
It's which or who? I put as that.
Wait, yeah, I put that as well.
You could do that, but which or who is more correct technically.
Like,
But that is fine. That is fine.
how am I supposed to be like the books who are given to me yesterday?
Which? The book's which? I said who or which. Don't worry. I've compensated for the genders. Who or which?
Okay, today.
You're good.
I can say.
Sure, if you feel like it.
Today, I, in brackets, was reading books which had been given to me yesterday.
Okay. The only picky thing I'm gonna say here is it books or book?
It's book.
Book. It's a book. Now,
Okay.
just a quick grammar note here, and I don't want to belabor this too much, but this relative clause is giving us information about which word in the main. The book. Okay, so that's what we would call the antecedent. Okay, and if you break that word up, it actually helps you remember what it means. So ante means before, and kedo, kedere means to go. So the antecedent is the thing that goes before the relative clause,
So cool.
right? It makes sense. Okay, so that's our antecedent, and quem is our relative pronoun. Okay, yeah.
For data Ross, would like that's second person, right?
Uh-huh.
So then would it be the book that bracket you had given me?
You don't have to actually bracket that because the verb itself, like both lege bam and dideras, do have person. It is technically in the Latin.
Okay, but it is like.
Oh wait,
But
I
it is you.
bracketed the I and the second.
Yeah.
I bracketed both of them. So.
Yeah, so that you don't have to bracket. But like if I were to say, today I was reading your book. There's no word for your in there, so that you would bracket. Does that make sense? Kind of. But lege bam already, it has the pre-programmed I, and dideras has the pre-programmed you. So you don't need to bracket it. Because oftentimes in Latin, the subject drops out. The subject will usually drop out. So just to kind of like mitigate any confusion, you don't need to bracket those.
Like, but what will you need to bracket? Like, if you add words?
If you add words that are definitely not there, like for example, how can I? Okay, look at example number 2, right? If we were to say Aurelia was happy because her slaves, right? There's no word for her, so we would bracket that. Does that make sense? So I've added a word that's definitely not in the Latin, and I want to show the reader that I know it's not there, but it will make the translation more clear. Don't worry about that because Latin just doesn't have the or an.
I
So-
mean, could you put these slaves instead of her slaves?
Yeah, you could because the slaves, but then you wouldn't have to bracket the. It's just, yeah, if you like, I don't know, if it's, don't worry so much about the bracketing. I think we'll get more practice with it as we go along. And you'll see kind of how that works a little better. Hey, why won't it erase? There we go. Okay, number 4. All right, now I think everybody should say this word because it's kind of fun. You ready? Repeat after me. Scripseram. Wow, that was so unenthusiastic. Can we try that again? Scripseram. Is that not fun?
It is. It's not as fun as Vesperastica.
No, nothing will ever beat a Wesperaskivat. That's the best one. All right.
I actually like Apropinquaba.
Apropinquabat. Yeah, that one actually is kind of fun.
Yeah,
There's a lot of P's and Q's and B's and stuff. Apropinquabat.
Apropinquaba.
It's a good word. All right, markup. Who's got it? Evan Yao, how about you?
Scrapsam is the verb.
What's the verb? What did you? I just didn't hear you. What did you say?
The last word.
The last word? Don't be shy. Sound it out.
Scrapsam.
Scripseram. Yeah, you got it. Scripseram. Okay, so that's a verb. Is there another verb?
No.
That's not true. There is. Can you find it? All right, Jason, help him out. Where's the other verb? Aram. Good. Okay. Rest of the markup. Evan, what do we got?
Let's see, is
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to use my palette on this because it's just like, I'm using pencils, so it just makes it tip.
Okay, what else do we got?
the verb object is multis.
Okay, and multas means much or many, so it's modifying something. What's it going with? Use the endings to help you out. Yeah, you got it. Epistolos. Good. See, don't be shy. You got it. Okay, and that's it. That's our markup. Good. All right. Translation. David, sure.
I was tired because I had already written too many letters.
Good. Did you say too many letters?
Many letters.
Many letters. Okay, good. Good, good. Yep. Okay. Any questions on this one? No, last one.
This one was interesting.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. Markup. Annabelle. Sure.
Dolu is accusative.
Whoops, that's erasing.
Oh, the verbs had when or at and contrived.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes. Query is an argument.
Good.
Clades is a prepositional phrase, and so is the infinitive.
Good.
Right. Do I need to say what?
Do you need to what?
No. I was gonna say, do I need to say the cases of those? But
No, you're fine. You're fine. Okay. Translation, Jason.
Wait. The children had arrived at home when it. Let's see. The dice entered the garden.
careful. So who's your subject of Adwenerant here?
Junior.
Oh, the children. Oh, okay, sorry, I just didn't hear you. All right, more technically, it's the boys. All right, so the boys hardly Adwenerant. What did you say for that chunk? Had arrived at home. Okay, good. Oh, okay. You're actually right. This is not purple. Cum is sometimes a prepositional.
That's what I was thinking. I thought it was weird that they put two right next to each other.
Well, that's not what that could happen. That's not what's weird. What's weird, like if we were to translate this, it just wouldn't make sense. Like we could say the boys hardly had arrived home with Euclides in the garden. He entered.
I put when Euclides.
So cum is sometimes a preposition, but sometimes it's just a transition word meaning when. Okay, and here that's what it's doing. And also let's think about it. Look at these two verbs. We've got advenerant, enti, and intrawit. So what's the difference in number? Singular and plural, right? So my subject of this verb has to be plural, and my subject of this verb has to be singular. And the boys are plural, so they can't be the subject of intrawit. So who is the subject? Euclides, yeah. All right, see how we kind of like logicked that out? Okay. Does that make sense?
I did it like this the first time, and then when you said it was a prepositional phrase,
Oh no.
I think that's it.
Well, that's why never accept it as fact until we've fully translated it through. Right, but again, that's why Latin is so tricky, because sometimes you have to go through a sentence a couple of times before you actually figure out all of the pieces. Like you have to edit your translation a few times. All right, it's very much like a puzzle,
My brain feels too small for this.
but it's not. It's not too small. You got it. You got this. Okay. Is this okay? Yeah? All right. What I'd like to do is the following.